The ink is still drying, and a few moments ago, names were added to a book that has been gathering names longer than most of us have been alive. A pen, a hand, a signature. The most ordinary of gestures. And yet, something happened here that no ordinary signature could account for. A circle changed shape. And before we say anything else, let us say what this day deserves. We are glad you are here. 9 new members. Now, I know we like to think that it's because we're all just such wonderful people and our bubbly personalities, but it is also through the hard work of the membership committee. So please thank Sharon, Jennifer, and all the members of the committee. But keep your bubbly personality. We're glad in an ordinary way, the human way, that communities are glad, and when the table grows longer. When new voices enter the song, when the story we thought we knew gains another chapter. Every community has had to answer one quiet, persistent question. Who belongs? We rarely ask it out loud. It lives underneath the potlucks and the committee meetings and the coffee hour, but it is always there. Drawing a line we pretend isn't being drawn between those inside and those outside. Here is what the signing of a book quietly confesses. The honest question is never whether we draw a circle. We always do. A community has no edge. If it has no edge at all, it is not a community, it is fog. A community with no edge, and the question is how we draw it. And underneath that is our circle drawn in love or fear. There are 2 very different reasons to draw a line around a group of people. You can draw a circle in fear, and a line becomes a fortification. The people inside are protected, not because they are loved, but because outside is dangerous. The circle knows itself by what it is not. We are not them. The membrane hardens into a wall. You can feel the difference in your body, the way a room tightens when difference walks in, or the way it can open instead. You can draw a circle in love. Then the line marks a sanctuary, so the people inside can flourish. It keeps something precious in, a way of being together, a promise. A circle drawn in love is secure enough in what it cherishes to let its edge breathe. Someone different approaches, and it does not clench. It opens. We can learn from you without ceasing to be ourselves. Real, but permeable. A membrane, not a wall. We are, by our own rich and strange history, a people who decided very early that we would not draw our circle around a creed. When King John Sigismund, the 16th century Unitarian ruler of Transylvania, issued one of Europe's earliest edicts of religious freedom and tolerance in 1568, his advisor and court preacher, you probably know the name, Francis David, helped give shape to a tradition that has long cherished this sentence. We need not think alike to love alike. He died in prison for it. We inherited it. It tells us something specific about our circle. We are held together because we draw it around a promise. That is what a covenant is. And that is what just happened with the book. The names signed this morning are not signatures on a contract, some transaction where you give us a thing and we give you a thing back. They are signatures on a contract, a promise to walk together, to stay in relationship, to keep showing up to one another. Nobody signed a statement of belief. People signed their willingness to belong. But do not mistake a covenant for something vague, not this covenant. To promise to belong here is not to promote warm feelings on a Sunday morning, although you might have them. Grace has to be in that promise because we will not live our values perfectly. Not one of us. We will fail and we will fall short of justice. We will meet difference with fear when we meant to meet it with curiosity. We will be stingy when we meant to be generous. A covenant made only of values would crush us because we could never keep it. But this is a covenant of values held with grace. It is a space we can actually live inside because it assumes from the very first signature that we will fail one another and return to one another. Fail and return. And that the returning is itself the covenant. That is what is meant to hold one another with grace. And in this mission, you have just joined yourselves to. The mission of all Unitarian Universalists is to be a loving and inclusive community where people of every background can search freely, to work for justice and the mending of the world, to help one another grow and change, and to insist with our lives that love and justice are the strongest forces we have for building something better. And at the center of it all, holding the whole thing together, is love. Not love as a feeling that comes and goes, but love as a discipline, a practice we are accountable to one another for keeping. That is the work. You have just put your names to it. And those names join a long column of others, written by hands no longer with us, whose promise still holds these pages open. The company that you have joined is not only this room, but everyone who has ever written their name here in hope. Here is what I most want to say to those whose names are now in the book, while the ink is still wet. You did not earn your way in by becoming someone, and you will not have to keep earning it. Belonging is not the prize we hand out at the end, once you have become whole and arrived. If that were the rule, the book would be empty, because not one of us has arrived. I have been signing my name to things for decades, and I am no more finished than the morning I started. Belonging is not the reward for becoming. Belonging is the ground on which becoming happens. You do not become someone and then get to belong here. You belong, and because you belong, because there is now a circle of people who have promised to hold you, you are finally safe enough to become, to change your mind, to grieve, to doubt out loud, to be more honest with yourself and us than anywhere else. A wall cannot give you that. Only a sanctuary can. Only a circle drawn in love. But this is not only about the new among us. Something happens to a circle when it opens. Something we don't always admit that we fear. The circle changes shape. I grew up in a house that never stopped changing shape. I was the 6th child, and 5 more came after me. With each new child, the Roth house had to rearrange itself to make room. Another set of bunk beds went up. The garage was emptied into a shed out back and turned into a bedroom. Eventually, the whole house was renovated. A master bedroom and a big family room and a back porch were added on. And 3, then 4 of us moved into that converted garage. The house was never finished. Every time a new person arrived, the walls themselves had to move. It was not tidy, and it was not equal. My elder sister Michelle always had her own room, and so did Megan, the youngest. And oh, they never let them get over that one. The rest of us piled in together, and a circle of love is not a place where everyone gets the same thing. It is a place that keeps asking what love requires now, rearranging itself so there is room for everyone who belongs. And here's the part I understand only now. All that rearranging made something possible years later. Every one of us went out into the world, and every one of us, when a plan fell apart, came back. The house took us in again. There was always a room, because the house had spent our whole childhood learning how to make one. It was a circle drawn in love and grace. That is what we are building here. Not a finished house, a house that knows how to change its shape. So there is room for whoever belongs, and so any of us can go out, become, fail, and come home. When a new person is genuinely welcomed in, this is not simple addition. We're not us plus one. We become a slightly different we. The community reorganizes itself around what it now holds. And yes, part of every established community, I feel it myself, grieves the old shape. But a circle that can only stay the same or shatter is not truly alive. It has mistaken preservation for faithfulness. This is why living communities return again and again to their promises. We revise our language, our covenants, our habits, and sometimes our structures, not because the old circle meant nothing, but because love keeps asking whether the circle still has room to breathe. Hold that close as we continue to revise our promises and widen the circle without losing the love at its center. So the question is never only, who am I becoming? The deeper question is always, who are we becoming together? And we cannot answer it without you. Try becoming all by yourself, and you will quickly discover why we need one another. Why else are any of us even here? The we that this fellowship will be 10 years from now does not yet exist. It cannot come into being without the people who signed this morning. You are not joining something finished. You are joining something that needs you to become it. So the ink is drying. The names are in the book. The circle has changed shape, and it is a little more itself for having done so. To those whose names are now there, welcome. Welcome to a house still being built, a house still learning how to make room. Come as you are. Stay as you change. Go out and become, and know that there will always be a room to come home to. You are already fully one of us. And so still are all of us becoming two. May we be a circle drawn in love. And repeat this after me. May our edges breathe.
May our edges breathe.
And may we find the courage again and again, and repeat here, to let ourselves be changed.
Let ourselves be changed.
By the ones we are blessed to welcome.
By the ones we are blessed to welcome.
May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. Today's benediction is from James Villa Blake, written in 1894. I think you'll recognize it. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now go out and carry that covenant past these doors. Become whoever you are becoming, and know that the circle holds, and that there is always a room to come home to. Amen. Blessed be.